There are quite a few things here because let's talk first of all a bit. We talk about first contact. You mentioned one term and not another. One is you mentioned heaven, and there's also the Galactic Federation of Light. I'd like to talk about both of those.
Okay, what the Galactic Federation of Light is about is, as physical angels, which are beings that are within physicality and are here to help regulate and unfold physicality, what they do as physical angels is to take the edicts of the divine plan and apply it to physicality. Heaven looks at the spiritual realm's divine plan and the divine plan of physicality and combines them both together. So what heaven is the creators, the co-creators of physicality, and we are physical angels from heaven that have lowered our frequencies to certain levels to be in physicality, to have bodies, or actually there's some that have actually what they call non-corporal bodies, but are still physical. And so no matter what level of frequency you're operating at, you're still a physical angel, and the basic number one credence of physical angels is to help unfold divine plan and physicality, to help bring out what is the basic aspects of physicality so that it fully manifests according to the divine plan. The divine plan is simply the creator energy, God, whatever you want to call it, plan for how this creation is to unfold. And so your job is to act as an assistant to that whole process.
Facilitator.
A facilitator, right, that's a better word.
And when I experienced what I did, as a cellular wake-up, I call it, I realized that physical immortality was the next step for humankind. And that was my purpose. It's like I was just marking time before that, wondering, why am I here? What is my purpose?
When's it going to end, right?
Right. And when I awakened, I thought, oh man, that's the whole mystery of it all, is that the human body be restored to its original state.
Yeah, I'm getting something as you're talking, because when you're no longer just biding time, waiting for the inevitable, you reorientate your whole self towards life.
Exactly.
Talk about that and how that changes everything.
Well, your entire languaging changes because you find out how filled the language is with death.
Yeah.
Because, as you said, everyone feels it's inevitable that you die. And that is really the lie. That's the whole purpose. Even most religions, I should say, well, not most, but they feel that eventually death will be abolished. They, in their scriptures, it speaks of it as being the last enemy to be abolished. Well, when? They'll say it's always in a future dispensation. Oh, it's not time. This has to happen, that has to happen. Amazing, when I awakened, they told me I was a few dispensations ahead of time.
Who told you that?
Some individuals. I said, well, why didn't you said it's all in God's dispensation. I said, well, why didn't God just hold it?
What do you mean by dispensation?
Another 1,000 years or so.
Oh, in the future, this immortal life, yeah.
Right, that I was ahead of time.
Oh, and these people said...
And my expression was, why didn't God just hold it then? Because I said, I can't speak anything else now
But being this...
But being physically immortal. Because that is my reality now. And that reality changes like brain cells open.
So you also got programmed with not recognizing the parallel or the multiplicity then of reality, the fact that reality exists on so many levels, and the fact that you do exist not just, in this concept of time, but, vastly throughout all of creation. So all of that comes into play, and so what you have now in you is a natural idea and acceptance of the fact that death is unavoidable, because it is part of your program. You got to understand that. It's all part of your program. Death is acceptable. When I look back at the 90s, and we all look back, if we noticed there was a sudden surge of books and New Age movement, people coming out, TV shows, encouraging you that it's okay, death is okay, go ahead and, they made it, they were just pushing that, with making it all okay. Well, there's more to it than that. There's a lot more to it than that. And it's all about you waking up and discovering who you are, that you really are source, however you want to term it, God, however, ultimately you are the consciousness that supports all of creation, ultimately that you are the backdrop. So you don't remember any of that, because every time you die and you come back through, your memory gets pretty much wiped. It's like this, you go through that light, that whatever, and it's kind of like exposing film to light, and your memory gets wiped, and you have shades of it in there. It's not that it's gone, but it's in there somewhere. So naturally, you come in and you have these systems set up in place. Your religious systems, your whatever spiritual exercise program you go through, that gives you some sort of organized concept, some sort of packaged concept of what life is, and it all encompasses going ahead and dying, because yes, that is the way it is, and that there is a place where you and your loved ones will meet. It just behooves me. It's just amazing to me, though, when I look on at this, even as a child, for as far back as I can remember, how everybody has just accepted this whole concept with very little questioning. As long as we hear that there is a heaven and there's an afterlife, something to make you comfortable, and you work towards being good, so that you will end up in this heaven, this place. You don't even know where you're going.
So we're at a point where we have, for some generations, been in limited consciousness, right, for some reason, because there's some history behind all of that.
Right, there's a whole long history, goes from Atlantis to now roughly around 13 millennium, where we basically got a large part of our DNA closed off. Matter of fact, according to geneticists, about 95 to 98% of all our genetic materials are latent right now.
Right, because they actually classified it as junk.
Right, they classified it as junk, and they're now beginning to see that as it activates itself, we become more conscious. So a lot of scientists that are into genetics, or genetic scientists, have decided two things. Because of the odd nature of it, this is the remnants that's working us from being limited conscious to being fully conscious. And the second thing they've discovered is, because of the uniqueness of humanity, we are not really a creature that was created on planet Earth. We are extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I have contended and certainly felt that no one is native to here. The only thing I'd say that's native to here is the physical form itself, because it's made of Mother Earth, right, essentially. And in that respect, it's Earth's gift to us. It's of her body, and then we, being the spiritual energy, essentially express ourselves through it. It's a symbiosis there, in a way to speak. Right. So, that's my opinion.
From the dawn of time we came, moving silently among you, down through the centuries, immortal.
I realized that physical immortality was the next step for humankind.